Welcome back to the Monolith Film Podcast. I am your co-host, Lee Byrne. Joining me today, as always,
that's me, Nick Gillum.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Nick. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Today, we're going to be doing Antiporno by, Sion Sono, I think?
Yes, sir.
How you say his name? Came out in 2016. Yeah, I liked it.
That was a lot of fun.
Both our first times watching it, right, for the podcast?
Yeah. Not what I expected at all, really.
No, same. I had suggested it because I'm familiar with the director.
Okay.
His movie Tag is one of my favorite Japanese movies.
Okay, it's not the Tag movie with where they run around tapping each other.
Oh, fuck no. No.
No, not that one.
No, not at all. It's very similar to this one with like a surreal element to it. A lot of cutting between timelines and multiple universes.
Kind of broken narrative.
Yeah. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I think it's fucking good though.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to check this one out, especially because the description on so many websites is just like a writer lives in a room and lives out her life minute by minute. I think it's a description on like Letterboxd or some shit.
Is it actually?
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of nonsense, the description. But it intrigued me, so I guess it worked.
Yeah, and it's a good movie. I quite enjoyed it. Are you familiar with a lot of his work?
I've only ever seen Tag and Antiporno. I'm watching Vampire Tokyo Hotel.
Oh, that's true. You were talking about
it. It's a TV show, so it do some flashbacks, but that's about the most broken narrative you get. It's pretty straightforward. But
the same kind of aesthetic, very bright, flashy stuff.
Yeah, like the hotel, the Tokyo Vampire Hotel.
Yeah,
the interior design is all bold primary colors, nice and chunky.
Yeah,
and that the flare on all the lights, like the star flare.
Yeah,
everywhere. That's
very cool. I quite like that little. I don't even know how you describe it. It's like an asterisk almost looking.
Yeah, I really like that too. It's a nice. It's like I don't know. It's fluttery.
Very old style looking.
Yeah.
I wonder how they get that different flat lens or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It almost looks like computer generated, to be honest.
It feels almost too perfect to do it, but I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of tracking to do to try and edit all that stuff in, all those flares in, but very well could be.
That's true.
Very well could be. Black and white in that little one section where they're walking through the woods and they have the people in the trees. I thought it looked fantastic there.
Yeah, that was very cool. It was a very cool shot.
Really fits in the black and white. Oh, and before we start, I think, give you some accolades. I think that new poster for the thumbnail looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much.
I quite like that, and I think the listeners are going to be staring at it while they listen to our delicious voices.
Yeah, I don't know. I was making the posters for Agari.
Yeah.
And I just kind of started fucking around, and I was like, this would be a cool thumbnail.
Looks sick.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So do you want to give the movie a proper kind of summary rather than the writer sits in a room?
Yeah. So the movie is about Kyoko, who is presented to us as some sort of artist. She's more than just a writer. She paints as well.
Some kind of pop art person.
Yeah. But it's almost as if her persona is more famous than her actual art or whatever.
Yeah.
One of those types of artists.
But she's like some kind of diva, like a personality, it seems.
Yeah. She does spend the entire movie in one room, except for the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And it opens in that room. It's this nice bright yellow room with a bright red bathroom and a bright blue bed.
Almost violently bright colors.
Yeah, definitely. There's these weird fans, 5 windows on one wall that are just blindingly white.
Yeah, well, I took kind of note on that stuff because I don't know if it was kind of what'd you call it? Like not a production choice, but a like a budgetary choice to shoot most of the story in this one room. But all these kind of little things really make it feel like it's a bigger space than we're actually seeing. These fans in the walls and the bright colors and all these camera movements throughout. It really kind of livened up such a small set.
Yeah. For sure. It never feels claustrophobic.
No.
Ever. Especially compared to like other one room movies or even other movies that have entire sets, like the Alien movie.
Mm-hmm.
That movie and like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Like they capture claustrophobia so well.
Mm-hmm.
And like compared to this, which is literally one room, but it feels massive the whole movie.
You're never really bored in this room. There's so much color and action and movement throughout. There's always something to look at and something happening and all these weird characters coming in. You
Yeah.
never feel bored in this room.
To the viewers who haven't seen this movie, strap in because it's going to get confusing.
And strap on because characters coming up later.
That's true. There are. Okay, so she wakes up. She does her thing. You can kind of tell she's a little psycho. She like yells at her reflection or whatever.
Mm.
She hallucinates her dead sister playing piano.
Yeah.
Her assistant shows up and gives her her starts emotionally, physically, and sexually abusing her assistant.
Yeah, very meek assistant at this first half hour.
Then her first appointment shows up. It's a photographer and an interviewer and their crew.
Mm-hmm.
More assistant abuse,
Yeah,
self-harm, some rape.
I've met a lot of photographers, and I've never seen a crew quite like that.
Yeah,
That's an interesting crew.
Two of the crew members walk in with they're pretty punk rock. They were rocking some strap-ons.
Yeah, that's pretty punk rock.
They use them. They definitely use them.
Oh yeah, they're ordered to use them as part of the interview.
Yeah,
fun enough.
She goes over her artistic method, all while her assistant is getting raped on her bed. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, a director yells, "Cut!" The fourth wall is literally taken down by a film crew.
When this happened, dude, I was cracking up.
Yeah, it is fucking funny.
I thought it was fantastic. Did you expect anything like that?
God, no.
I really didn't see any of that coming.
And then
I was very happy.
There's a little role reversal with the artist and the assistant, because now the actor who plays the assistant is the abusive one, and the actor who plays the artist is the submissive one.
Yeah.
They spend their entire time in between takes shitting on the main actress, pretty much, humiliating her publicly.
Yeah. Same. I thought it was quite interesting. We've been seeing a lot of movies where people are made to walk like a dog throughout.
That's true, eh?
Very fun.
I mean, hey, it's a good scene, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it ties the podcast together.
There you
dog
go.
Walking.
Then Kyoko starts to hallucinate. Kyoko is the name of the supposed artist, but it's the only name we're given for this girl. So I think it's also her name, like the actress's name as well.
Yeah.
She starts to hallucinate or daydream about all these girls in a red and white room. Then you get the black and white shot where what we find out later to be her parents are fucking in the woods, and there's a little girl with a knife. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back and the day starts over. So she wakes up in the bed, she goes to the bathroom again. The fourth wall is now up again, so this is just the movie.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to start, because this is supposed to be some kind of porno film that they're shooting. Interesting way to start the movie with a girl taking a crap in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the porno.
I don't know. It's weird. A lot of weird decisions. Mm-hmm. So then the assistant walks in again, and we get kind of the whole routine again, but a little more unhinged.
Yeah.
And then I think this time, instead of breaking the fourth wall and it's a movie set, we're on a stage in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And it's like a play now all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we get flashbacks from when Kyoko was a little girl and she talks to her parents about sex, and her sister kills herself.
Yeah.
And then she gets raped in the woods.
It wasn't really rape. It was more of a dry hump. And
That's true.
Comes in like 10 seconds. I thought was interesting.
Almost raped in the woods.
And
she imagines a film crew there.
Yeah.
Then we have this relationship with one of her models who she bases her character on. Mm-hmm. And she declares her love. I don't get that part.
No. Well, I think that might just be part of the porno.
Maybe. No, true. I kind of always forget they're filming a porno.
Yeah. It's an interesting movie. It only kind of comes together when she starts explaining it at the end.
Right, and then the last few bits are like her at the audition.
Yeah.
Then there's a full role reversal where the assistant is now the artist, and
Mhm.
Kyoko is now the assistant, still in her schoolgirl uniform.
Yeah.
And then the last bit is intercut with Kyoko reading the script of the movie as if she's just been writing this the whole time.
Yeah.
And then she smashes her face in a cake and gets paint dumped on her from the sky.
Yeah, and a fun movie, and it ends like that, and the fantastic score of that little slide guitar sad song plays.
Yeah.
And I was quite happy at the end of this movie.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the whole movie. If you at home listening do not understand, that's okay. I don't think anyone really does.
No, I was going to say it's quite a long summary for a movie, but I remember Joey's summary of fucking we did the Refn movie that was what a 20-minute summary.
Yeah. I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to do a lengthy summary just because it's there's so many moving parts.
Yeah, it's very necessary for this movie, I think. Is what all those kind of flashback scenes and everything. Well, how do you want to get through this? Do you want to start at the beginning and go chronological, or kind of just jump to points throughout?
Well, I think we might benefit in this movie from trying to stay chronological.
Okay. Yeah. So how does it kind of start?
They break the fourth wall at the 30-minute mark about.
Yeah.
So the first 30 minutes is just her in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know she's an actress yet.
No. So yeah, we think everything's real. It's just some eccentric artist in this weird room. And then all kinds of surreal, very strange sexual things start happening.
Yeah.
Up to that first 30 minutes, I just kind of thought it was kind of just a weird movie. But then once that director comes out, I thought it was quite fantastic. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to, I liked the lizard in the bottle.
Yeah.
That was fun. Little lizard in a bottle. Nothing wrong with that.
Straight metaphor for the character, I guess.
Yeah. But the whole, I don't know, because we get introduced to a lot of like potential themes, mm-hmm. and then the characters full on disregard the themes like explicitly.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of talk about being a virgin and a whore at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And being a whore in this universe is like revered.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're filming a porno, so.
Yeah. One thing I thought, the very opening shot, I don't understand. The very first shot of the movie.
Yeah, I always forget that. It's opens with a shot of like some parliament building and a cop car driving by with the sirens on.
Yeah, and I was expecting that shot to come back at the end, like that's the studio or something, or that's she gets arrested or something, but I have no idea what that opening shot is.
You're right.
And after the movie, I went, oh, fuck. Went back, rewatched it, or like rewatched that beginning section where it's the kind of dollies of her through these this big candlelit kind of lateral dolly thing, and I don't have any clue as to what that could be.
The only thing I could think, the only thing that happened in the movie that would need police presence is the sister's suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, it's like there's no connection almost to it. It's almost like you have to go, okay, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, there's absolutely no connection.
Okay, good. I missed something.
I don't know what building that is. Like, it's probably somewhere in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It might just be a way to like show that this is kind of supposed to be the real world, but not quite. So he just puts a shot of the real world so people aren't too, guard.
Yeah. One idea I thought was, but I don't know if there's any way I could, or we here in Canada could, I don't know, see if it's true or not, was the, it might be a studio building, I was thinking, because this is like, hold on, I'm trying to find the name of the place here. Nikatsu Studios, was like in
Right.
the 70s and 80s when they were making the pornos.
Yeah, they made a lot of pink films.
Yeah, this one was part of that. So I don't know if they were just showing a studio, if people were supposed to know if that was a studio, and they go, "Oh, this is Nikatsu. We know what they kind of do there," and then it cuts to the story, Antiporno starting. But I don't know. There's no proof or anything on screen to that.
No, it's definitely the Parliament building.
Oh, it is the Parliament building.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, then I have no clue at all.
Yeah, it's like straight up the House of Parliament in Tokyo.
Weird then.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like 10 seconds unnecessary in the movie also. Why not just start on that fun opening title?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think, I mean, because it's a very like Japan centric movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's about the pink film movement, which was exclusive to Japan.
Yeah.
It's about the female role in Japanese society.
Yeah.
So I don't know, putting the Parliament building right at the beginning.
But even then, watching that, us as Westerners, I have no fucking idea that was the Parliament building.
Yeah, I think the only reason. Oh, I'm echoing.
You okay? Sounded fine on this end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sound okay.
The only reason I recognize it was because Godzilla destroys it in one of the Godzilla movies.
Yeah. Well,
So
we got to watch more Godzillas then. We'll get these fucking Japanese movies. But I don't know, start on an island of Japan or something and then cut to the title even then. But I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot more famous buildings in Tokyo.
And I mean, watching the movie, I was never going, is this Toronto? Where is this? Is this Argentina?
Yeah, that's for sure.
It seemed very Japanese, the movie. Anyway, interesting first shot then. But then after the 30-minute mark, that's kind of when the narrative falls apart and we start to put the pieces together.
Yeah, as they fall apart in front of us.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a straightforward story after that, though. Once the things kind of start coming together and you kind of get the idea, oh, it's this kind of shameful thing for these Japanese women to have any kind of sexual desires or anything, and the society's kind of suppressing these sexual desires, and then you have to get the note somehow, and the hypocrisy of her parents and everything, and it all kind of just comes as this one big theme together for the story. But that first half an hour is very very fun when you don't know.
One thing during that opening 30 minutes, once Kyoko starts puking, her assistant is on the ground and she rolls a bowling ball at her, and you hear the sound of bowling pins.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get that.
No, I don't get that either.
Why the fuck is there a bowling? Like, where did all that shit come from? That was so weird.
Well, there's a few things that are very interesting. Like also when when Kyoko is getting whipped by her assistant at the end, and there's bubbles coming in a few shots.
Yeah, true.
And not bubbles in one shot. And and then there's some stuff might just be for aesthetic flair to spice it up, or I don't know, make it more fun with such kind of a grim subject. I'm not sure really why they'd have these.
Maybe the bubbles I don't get.
Yeah.
The snow I can understand, because then it's relating
to the forest rape scene.
Yeah, exactly. It's just tying all of the sexual experiences into one.
Well, what was the thing with the fucking the buzzsaw cutting the ceiling, the drywall and the ceiling open too?
That's another question I have here. I have absolutely no idea.
That's the producer cutting the fucking ceiling to get the paint out for the last.
I didn't think of that. That's funny.
I have no idea, because isn't that what happens though at the end? Oh well, it's her parents' built house that's getting cut the ceiling too.
Yeah, it's a different house,
and it's her apartment that gets the paint. Then I really have no clue about that buzzsaw either.
Yeah, I really don't get that part.
I was thinking maybe it's a vaginal kind of reference, but it's horizontal as well, so that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was like her like cutting down the wall, cutting down the shame, like being able to make it onto the other side.
Yeah, kind of destroying what her parents kind of put on her.
Yeah, exactly. But it just cuts one line. It doesn't break it. It's just a straight line.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing happens to it afterward. Normally, like, you'd have the rule of threes for things, you know? This is only shown 2 times as well.
Yeah. Maybe he forgot.
Maybe they're just stuff from other shoots and he just gave the camera to the editor and the guy threw it all together. Parliament building, I'll fucking throw that at the beginning. Sign here. Just the editor's going nuts. I'll put fucking bowling ball sounds in. Who cares? It was just the editor gone wild. Did you like the broken narrative of it?
I did. It was fun. It was a nice roller coaster.
I like the kind of movies where you got to put the things together, because if this was done straightforward chronologically, you would have got what the story was about in the first 2 seconds.
Yeah.
If it started when she was in her schoolhouse and then it goes to back home, we would have known in that second scene. So I quite like that we have to build this narrative together in our heads, and we only get it like an hour into the movie. And then when she starts explaining at the end, it's quite funny too, in case you didn't get it.
What does she say?
Oh, well, when it's the pie smashing face, and she goes, "Oh, number one."
Okay, yeah.
She lists off the 3 things, and it kind of puts everything together at the end.
Yeah, that was. I don't get why she has to smash her face in a cake, but it is funny.
Yeah, just angry, I guess, at this Japanese society. Wants to smash her face in the cake.
It's also what, her 18th birthday?
Something like that, yeah.
Which is
or maybe
interesting.
19th? Maybe, yeah. What do I have here? Cool ass jacket, looks like Space Invader is one of my notes here.
Yeah, the costume design is fucking sick.
Really cool, yeah. Very. It almost looks like some kind of what are they called? The like an anime kind of stuff. They're kind of over the top, cartoony characters. I thought it was very fun.
The costume design in Tokyo Vampire Hotel is also fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's this one vampire who wears, like, he always has a some sort of like suit jacket or blazer on.
Okay.
But with like shoulder pads that are way too big and pointy.
Yeah.
But he looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it.
This director's got a lot of style, I'd say.
Yes, definitely. Even Tag is a lot more muted.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because the narrative is so much more jumble and eccentric, that he kind of toned his style down a little. Yeah. So it's not just a complete assault.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like the assaults.
Me too. No, but Sono, he definitely has style, lead.
Mm-hmm. I have another note here that's a fun line from that first 30 minutes where Kyoko's yelling at her assistant and she goes, "She's no actor, she's no woman, she's no tranny." And then she starts scraping up the poster.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good lines during that first 30 minutes
that are just like so over the top and I don't know, unexpected.
Like, one only women so pure it breaks their hearts can be whores.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
Yeah. What do I have here? For camera, did you get annoyed by all the dollies that were going on?
No, I quite liked it.
One thing I have, but this is just my own kind of would you say taste for camera movement? I don't like when the dolly, like when a camera movement goes back on itself. So like if we pan one way, if we pan left 2 feet and then we pan right 2 feet again back to the original shot or something, or if a dolly goes one way and then goes back a third time or something, it almost feels like, I don't know, it's you should change it up a bit or something. But I quite enjoyed all the lateral dollies through it here, and I thought the composition of the dollies were fantastic. Every time they stop, it would be a fantastically framed shot. And the dollies are, what do you say? They're like behind the wall where a wall would be. So you have all the like the props in front of the camera, everything in deep, deep
Yeah,
focus.
that
Right
stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I quite liked all that. So like the design of the camera movement, I thought was very cool, and I kept it completely interesting, even with the handheld camera in that one room, and it really made the room a much bigger space than it actually was. Or it
Yeah.
actually is.
Did you notice the switch? Like
Oh.
it's all pretty much like Steadicam, dollies,
Mm-hmm.
and like pretty like dream like how smooth the camera motion is in the first 30
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Then after we get the break in the fourth wall
mm-hmm.
and they retake from the top and Kyoko
Yeah,
wakes up again in bed
yeah.
and now she's like really unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
That whole section is switches to handheld pretty much.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's shaky cam and it's a little,
Mm-hmm. That's her
I like
brain
that.
breaking down. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I only noticed that the second time I watched it.
One thing I have to see that room. There's one like shot to it. It's the white and red room with all the women sitting in it.
Yeah,
Would that be like the kind of like a shame room where all these women are kind of talking about her or something? Because obviously we can't understand what's written on all the walls.
yeah.
But
I was trying to catch something, but well, because they're being supportive, those women.
are they okay?
Yeah,
I would.
they're cheering her on, kind of, if I remember.
Mhm. Okay, then yeah, I'm confused about that room as well. Then, because my original idea was that it was like the kind of other women in the village or something, kind of talking shit about her.
No, I remember. I'm pretty sure they're being supportive.
Okay, so then there, I'm also confused. What
Um,
did you think about that?
I Yeah, I wish I could read what it says.
Hmm.
The subtitles only translated what the characters said.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was more like, well, because one of them's a little girl as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not like it's a bunch of whores telling her to be a whore.
Yeah. Or a bunch of like old women looking down on her.
Right. And for some reason, the little girl's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, I remember now.
So I'm not really sure what to make of that.
Very beautiful set though.
Yeah, that room, with all their like super long, like parchment gowns or
Down.
whatever with paint
Yeah.
all painted and shit. Yeah.
I thought that was very beautiful. That whole set. That was my favorite. I think set in it. That and the old schoolhouse, the schoolroom they're in, that's completely like blown out, overexposed through the windows. I thought those were both two very cool set pieces.
The schoolhouse, you mean like her home or like her classroom?
Yeah, her classroom. Yeah, there's one flashback to it around the end, and it's
Yeah.
like the light from the windows is just completely blown out, and it just looks very dreamlike or like a memory or something. I thought it would fit very well.
It's interesting too when it switches. Like it's so obvious how and when it switches to reality
Yeah.
versus the flashbacks and versus the film set. Because when
Hmm.
she's walking in the woods, when she puts her school uniform on and then goes home and then goes into the woods and then goes to the interview,
Yeah.
all of that overexposure, all of that haziness, all of that like fog, even the lights aren't flaring anymore.
Yeah.
It's like a full switch to reality.
Reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I This was very fun. I have a lot of stuff here about, not a lot of stuff, but just to set the kind of pink film stuff. Did you want to talk about the genre itself a bit?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So, what do I have here? This was like a couple places I went to look the stuff up. Probably one of them was Wikipedia, so I don't know how good anything is.
I
But
think
here it says,
it's
oops, sorry.
the pink film movement was pretty well documented. I think I'd trust Wikipedia, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So here it says pink film / Roman porno. like Roman, I imagine they mean like a novel, like a
Yeah,
story,
exactly.
story porno. Broadly, any Japanese film that includes nudity or sexuality. So
Yeah, that's a pink film.
not only porno, but any kind of like someone changes in the movie, and you go, "Ooh, this is a dirty movie."
Yeah, they came out. They started coming out more and more like as a like revolt against the traditional, like against that type of characterization.
Mm-hmm.
Like a movie with one scene with tits being considered a porn film or a pink film is
Yeah.
exactly what they were making movies against,
Mm-hmm.
but they were
Which is
like
quite.
using it to their advantage.
Can you imagine how rigid the society must have been, where you can't see like a butt without it being like considered a porno?
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty crazy. And I guess that's partly why Kyoko is going wild in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's that. Yeah, I mean this movie is basically like it's almost like a pink film manifesto.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, yeah, I guess so. Here I have a thing that it was part of an actual like revival series of the genre. This movie where Nikatsu was that's the studio there. They were trying to get like more highbrow into that pink genre.
Oh, okay.
So I think this was part of some kind of, I don't know if it was a series of movies or like a little festival or something they did with the new kind of pink films, the highbrow pink films. But I think this was part of that revival.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So, some stuff here, I think the kind of pink film stuff, I think it's very similar to the kind of pornos we have here in the West, where they have 20 plus sequels to every series, like 20 sequels. But I have little notes here. One guy, Tetsuji Takachi, he was a kabuki theater director, and he made a pink movie, and he was arrested for it being too obscene. And I think they just
Damn.
showed boobs in it, and that was it.
Nice.
So it's pretty fun.
Have you ever seen Tokyo Decadence?
No, but I think we might have talked about it. It sounds very familiar.
Probably. That's another like pink film manifesto type movie.
Yeah.
But that one is just like so overtly and explicitly over the top sexual.
Okay.
Like it's almost like a challenge. Like, oh, what? I can't make a sex movie that's not a porno. Fucking try me, bitch.
Yeah. It is
Um,
interesting, the divide between what is like kind of a marketable art and what's the porn.
yeah.
Because they're
I,
all kind of like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, because Tokyo Decadence is literally about uh, a hooker who has a hard time being a hooker.
She's beat up about it.
Yeah, she's like, I think she falls in love with one of her clients. And
Okay.
she struggles with doing the BDSM stuff, but most of her clients want to do the BDSM stuff.
All these Japanese businessmen.
Yeah.
That's fun.
There's another one called R100,
Okay.
which is a fucking weird movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that one about?
it's about a sexual service where dominatrix girls
Yeah.
will come and beat the living shit out of you,
Yeah.
like whenever. You don't get to decide.
That's
Like it could
fun.
be like a fucking family dinner, and some chick in leather shows up and kicks the shit out of you.
Put my fucking potatoes in the microwave. Keep them warm. I'll be back in 15.
And so this dude who lost his wife signs up for the service because he's lonely,
Yeah.
and it kind of starts ruining his life because he still has a kid that he takes care of, but now all of a sudden he's getting his ass kicked by these dominatrix girls.
That is so funny.
And the plot twist is that you're not allowed to deny the service. Once you pay for it, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
But then this is another one where there's a film within the film,
Okay.
and then it breaks down and gets way more surreal.
Hmm.
And I think they I don't know, they end up killing a bunch of the dominatrix in the end. It's like Night of the Living Dead almost, where they're like shacked up in a hut and they're just like shooting out the windows or some shit.
That's hilarious.
But at some point, there's an old man who breaks the fourth wall and straight up tells the audience there is no way you can understand this movie until you have lived over 100 years.
Okay, so I guess the writer for the movie was 102.
He better be, or else he's a fucking hypocrite.
Yo, shut this movie down, bro. This is BS, bro. One movie I think the like a Japanese movie about kind of pink film production is The Pornographers. I've only seen one scene from it, but it looked quite interesting, and I thought maybe we could check that out sometime in the future, or just see something as a reference to this if it kind of explains anything else of this movie. But it's kind of about how they would make these pink films in the 60s and stuff, where they would just kind of grab a girl and a guy and just run to like the beach or something and just film for 5 minutes while no one's around, and then run somewhere else and film for 5 minutes and then cut it together and make the cheapest porno, 1 hour long, fucking made in like 3 days, and then they'd make like $1 million off these pornos. So I thought that was fun.
It's a documentary?
No, it's like a fiction movie, but it's supposed to be like how they did it. Like, I don't know what the story is about. I've only seen the one scene, but it's pretty hilarious.
That sounds fucking funny.
But yeah, just about like the kind of lines we draw in the genres. Like, you're a big horror fan.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that's like a body genre, where like you get a bodily reaction to what you're seeing. Or like a comedy, like you see a comedy and you laugh. You see a horror movie and you go, "Ee!" You're scared. And the kind of like bodily reactions to things are they're kind of made lesser in like genre study kind of thing, or like some kind of not a day in the life kind of thing, but your basic kind of interior drama, where it's more of an emotional understanding of something, would be considered a higher piece of art than something that gives you this kind of visceral reaction where you start laughing or something at a guy farting. But I don't really think any of that's true.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would definitely say that's not true as well.
But then if we follow the logic on that, then porn also would be part of this kind of normal art.
Yeah.
Because we're getting the bodily reaction with the thing. And it's just a genre of this kind of moving picture medium.
I mean, I haven't seen too many highbrow pornos.
No, that's the thing.
But I don't believe that they don't exist. I don't think they're not possible.
Mm-hmm.
I just think no one does them, because what's the point?
The kind of classic pornos of the 70s, those would have had full plots and theatrical releases and everything.
Did they?
So back then, there would have been more of a like circles around it. But even now, we still have the kind of porn awards and stuff.
Yeah, but those are also very satirical.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, once you label your movie a porn,
mm-hmm.
It's almost implied that the main subject is sex.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
With every other genre, that's not true. Like when you say, like when you label your movie as a horror movie, you're not necessarily saying that the main subject is like blood, let's say.
Yeah.
You can have a gory movie, and some movies do make a point of just being gory for the sake of gore.
Yeah.
But those aren't the movies that, receive high praise.
Yeah.
But with porn, it's almost impossible to make a porn that's not about sex.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's almost like the bodily reaction to it overpowers the kind of, any kind of mental power you have to understand the thing as a piece of art. Like, you'd rather just beat off than understand it as a work of art.
Yeah.
Like, the biology gets the better of you.
Yeah, but it's also you can make a porn and there can be tons of fucking, but the second you give it a setting and you give it a plot, it becomes something else. It becomes a drama with sex in it.
Yeah. I just think a lot of the kind of modern or contemporary pornos would be just completely either like a parody or a satire, or just, oh, come in this room. Okay. Let's bang.
Yeah.
There's no artistry in it at all, other than just the documenting the sex.
Right.
I had a genre class a few semesters ago, and the last class was on porn as a genre, and I didn't go because I think I was out of town or something. But I got a bunch of emails like on that group server or whatever for the course, and everyone was going, "Oh, I didn't know we'd be watching porn on the last day. What is this? No one gave me a warning." And literally in the syllabus it said, "Today we are watching porn, actual porn. Please only come if you're aware to watch this or you want to watch this," kind of thing. And it's quite interesting in a university setting where people are actual watching normal porn.
That must have been a pretty interesting class.
I don't know how many people showed up because it was the 13th week and everything, but there was a good 5 or so emails complaining, and the even the week before the professor sent out a disclaimer and then afterwards apologized for everything and had to change the syllabus later on, I think.
That's so funny.
I'm upset that I missed that class. I think it would help with this this analysis too. We would know a bit more.
That's true, yeah. All the dudes complaining were probably just dudes who wore sweatpants that day.
Yeah.
I regretted it.
Man? I had to sit in class for fucking 15 minutes after class ended. But it is interesting where you kind of draw the lines on these genres, or what's something acceptable to watch and something not acceptable.
Yeah. I actually love pink films. Every pink film I've seen, I've liked.
Oh yeah?
Like the Japanese.
Yeah.
Not where pink film started, not like the actual just straight up porn.
Mm-hmm.
But like shit like this and shit like Tokyo Decadence and R100 and like these critiques on Japanese society in regards to pink films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of those movies have like explicit sex scenes.
Yeah. This movie's
I still wouldn't consider them porn. No,
not at all, no. Well, it's the same way like a nude model wouldn't be considered porn.
Right, yeah.
Hold on, I just had a fire truck just drove by. Sorry about that. But, yeah, interesting. What else do we have here? Well, we kind of have an equivalent in the West where it's kind of softcore porn. But even then, it's just for the sex.
Yeah. I mean, we're... like our society is very, very steeped in Christian values, but we haven't been, as a society, that sexually oppressed for a long time.
Yeah.
It's hard, so it's hard to compare our softcore porn to their pink films.
Yeah. Well, for like a Japanese, talking as a Westerner, of course, their society seems extremely rigid and organized, and you have to stay within these hard border lines, or else you're some kind of outsider.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible, really, for a foreigner to understand another culture completely without being raised in that culture. I think.
Yeah,
we can get close, but to understand it as well as they do is impossible. But yeah, their society does still seem pretty repressed compared to ours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, this movie came out in 2016, so
yeah, exactly.
You know, we haven't seen the most we'll see. Like the closest we can get in the West to a contemporary film having similar themes, is if the film is centered around a heavily Christian family household.
Yeah.
Or homosexuality will receive the same treatment, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. Very fun. I saw, like, we were talking about Francis Ford Coppola last week, I think.
Yeah.
And he started off making softcore porn.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's just a fun little aside to throw in.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people who work in the industry start with porn of some sort.
That's how it used to be, yeah. Like if you were starting up in the 60s and 70s, you'd start making like little softcore porn. Now most people do like music videos and stuff to kind of get their start, or like commercials.
True.
But yeah, back in the 60s and 70s, it was all little softcore porn things, or whatever you could shoot, you shot.
But I mean, especially here in Montreal, a lot of film students do porn right after college.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a bunch of applications and stuff like I didn't get the application, but I could have sent out tons of applications to all these porn places in Montreal. There's endlessly looking for people to cut together butt cracks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, hey, any way to get your foot in the door, right? Did you ever consider it? Would you do it?
Not really. I don't think so. Because like now you kind of, if that's on your resume, like you're kind of stuck in that category and you're kind of labeled as this kind of porn guy and you're kind of stuck in that world even then.
Tarnishes your reputation.
That, and it's kind of like the production quality of it is so low that they don't even think that you're good enough to do normal work.
Oh, that makes sense.
On porn or something. Unless you're like a Photoshop guy or a graphic designer or something, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're directing or editing or something, you won't even be bothered.
Because it's such like low expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't even care what you're cutting it together. You could use it on iMovie or something and cut it together.
Yeah,
they don't care about anything. And there's no style or anything to it. There's no rhythm or timing that you need to know. You just have to, okay, show the boobs, show the butt, you're good.
Right. Yeah. As long as you show the money shot, everything else leading up to it is pretty secondary anyways.
There's no style or anything to it. So that, if you're looking for work and there's nothing, then you'd go cut together a porno or something, but I wouldn't recommend it.
That makes sense. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say overall, quite a fun flick. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I did like it. And I liked the whole duality between virgin and horror.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated, and we can kind of sympathize with that even in the West.
Yeah.
As a society, our expectation of girls are like, we have those same two extremes.
Yeah.
Where the virgin is idolized for being pure and the whore is idolized for being fun.
Yeah.
And anything in between is like, well, you're not a whore or a virgin, so you're nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of put to an extreme in the Japanese context of it.
Yeah, especially in this movie. But that's when I like, it's hard for me to understand. Like the movie, once it ends, it wraps things together nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of puts into question, when are we seeing Kyoko, the actor's thoughts? When are we seeing the character's thoughts? Like, when is she reading this porn script? And when is she having an interior monologue?
That's the thought. Yeah. I kind of imagined every time she was yelling, she was in character.
Okay.
Around when she's being assertive, kind of like that, when she's playing this assertive kind of role. But when you get the little spots where she goes, oh, this isn't me, and then they're on stage kind of talking, I assumed that was all her actual interior monologue of her having kind of identity crisis, saying she's not a whore, she's just kind of just a nice girl who's full of shame and doesn't know what to do.
How much credit do we attribute to the character Kyoko's words during the interview? Like when she's asked about theme, she makes some pretty bold statements about theme and art in general.
What does she say?
First of all, she gets mad and she says, don't ask me about themes because lives don't have themes. So why should art need a theme?
Okay.
Which is an interesting statement by itself that I personally would disagree with, but that wasn't the main focus of her statement.
Mm-hmm. Well, I disagree with that as well, though.
Yeah, I think lives do have themes.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know it in the moment, but
overall, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we didn't, you can't know the theme of this movie until you're more than halfway done.
Mm-hmm. But even a movie, you can have different thematic points in it, or you could see the movie as part of a whole oeuvre.
Right.
But you were saying?
Yeah, she goes on to then explicitly state the film of the movie, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
and of, I assume, her, fictitious art and whatever. She says that she takes the annoying freedoms that restrict her and flush them in the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
No one in this, what does she say, paltry country or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
master
Oh
free.
yeah. Yeah.
Women aren't free. They're freedom slaves, freedom's puppets. They lack the freedom of even a cheap hooker.
Mm-hmm. So I guess like in the movie, that dialogue would be to support the to be a whore kind of character, but then in real life, it would be just don't be shameful or repressed like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the director's using the extreme of the whore
Mm-hmm.
to say the problem isn't that we don't have enough freedom. It's that even despite that freedom, we continue to shame each other for our sexual prowess.
Yeah, or there's all these expectations built on top of this,
Okay.
built
Yeah.
into this freedom.
It's interesting that the movie's called Antiporno,
Mm-hmm.
but he worked with this pink film studio
Yeah.
because I don't know. I guess maybe because pink films are they lowbrow, highbrow? I don't know what to think of that.
I think back in like the 70s, they would have been like the lowest of the low.
Right. That's what I assumed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
From
because
like,
then it's
yeah.
because my initial interpretation was that, with these themes in mind and the fact that the movie's called anti-porno,
Mm-hmm.
seems like Sono would be almost blaming the porn industry for continuing to influence these like initial reactions to shame.
Mm-hmm.
Like by being so sexually open and explicit, the porn industry is doing more in the detriment of society's open-mindedness.
I guess so, but he's also putting it on screen and showing us kind of how it could be more highbrow.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's it. And then we get this scene with the when Kyoko's talking to her parents,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking about sex, and the parents refer to their sexual organs as their genitalia
Yeah.
until they start talking about when it's talking about reproduction and about her losing her virginity, it's all genitalia and
Yeah.
property. And then when it's about them having post-marital sex and not planning on having kids and or porn, it's cocks and cunts, and it's
Yeah.
what is it? What are the? It's indecent, and then the mom says a different word similar to indecent.
Yeah. Wow.
But then
That
it's
is,
like, if the movie is supposed to be anti-porn,
mm-hmm.
then why would you put those statements implying that pornography is indecent and it only amplifies the shame we feel towards our own sex? Why would you
Mm-hmm.
put those statements in the mouths of these parents who are explicitly antagonistic characters in the film?
I think it might have been just to show the hypocrisy of their parenting, kind of them being so sexually active and so kind of like dirty, and they're building this shame into their daughter. I don't know. It's
Yeah, that the hypocrisy I get, but it's just like, is the film's title just a joke? Is it just not anti-porn?
you're taking anti as being like oppositional to
Yeah,
or opposed
against.
to.
Yeah.
I thought of it as like this is a porno, but there's no porn in it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
like
Yeah.
I can't think of an example now, but it would be like you would expect this to be porno, but it's like anti-porn. It's
Yeah.
dramatic, something
Yeah.
like that.
The movie isn't anti-porn. The movie is an anti-porno.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I thought of the
Okay.
title.
That actually makes a lot more sense.
Mhm.
I didn't think of that. That like pretty much cleared up everything.
What did you think about the dialogue in the movie? Because everything so far we've been talking about style and everything. It's very bold, but also very primal. Like you have a big yellow wall, you have a big red wall. Her art is pop art, which is supposed to be the most extreme of the colors, where it's full contrast. Did you find that the dialogue was almost over the top for what the aesthetic was, where the aesthetic should be bare bone, yellow, red, but the dialogue is more flowered, it's flourished, it's embellished throughout. It's very, they're using big words throughout. And I don't know, did you feel that it fit with the aesthetic of the art design or the art direction?
I'm not sure I noticed what you noticed about the dialogue.
I was thinking like it was almost too conceptual, the dialogue that they're saying. This paltry country with and she's giving these big monologues, okay. But it's supposed to be a kind of porno movie, and the aesthetic of the film is this primary pop art aesthetic. I kind of thought that the dialogue and the look of the movie didn't really blend in together. Like if this was a Victorian period piece or something and everyone was in these giant costumes, yeah. I'd imagine that would match more. But I don't know, I felt there was a slight disconnect between the dialogue and the look of the movie. But I mean, I wasn't really bothered in the end.
I think I actually appreciated that juxtaposition.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
It goes with the rest of the narrative, though, I guess.
Yeah. I also found it a little satirical.
Yeah, for definitely.
Like it's like making fun of artists.
Mm-hmm. If it's taken as satire, then it works perfect then.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
Yeah. What else do we have here? I have another note here on the dollies. I thought one dolly was quite fantastic, and I wonder how they did it. Because, I mean, it's all wide angles and deep focus throughout the movie. But the one shot I'm thinking is when the assistant in the first half an hour of the film is walking like a dog around or walking on all fours.
Yeah.
And behind her is the publicist and the interviewer and the photographer, whoever those two characters are walking behind her. And it's a low angle with all three of their faces making an upside down triangle in the frame. And then we dolly back and keep all the heads in frame. I thought that was a fantastic dolly and must have been hard as hell to execute. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? It's
when the assistant goes to acquire the blood.
No, I think it was before that. I can't remember the exact point, but I believe it was in the first half hour of the movie. I'll have to go get it.
It's definitely. Is it before or after the assistant gets completely naked? Oh, I saw it. I just saw it. It's right before she gets naked.
Okay, yeah, and she's crawling, and to get that kind of angle, I would have assumed that they would have had to cut a hole in the ground or have the assistant crawling be on a raised platform or something to have the camera be at that low extreme angle, even with the wide angle lens. But then to have all three of these characters walk, stay in focus, stay in that like upside down triangle composition, keep it all in focus, keep it all moving. I thought that was a very complicated shot to get done. I was really impressed by that shot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Watching it now, It is very a lot of moving parts with a weird angle.
Yeah.
Could she be wearing a rig?
I have no idea. I got no clue. Unless this is like a super wide lens, but then it doesn't even look that wide to have it. And to get the low, I would have thought they'd cut something in the ground.
Maybe. But I think the platform thing might be right as well. Because they only show the ceiling, so they could have filmed it anywhere.
That's true, yeah. But very, very fun shot. If we're doing the same as we did a couple episodes ago where we said our favorite shot, I would mark that for my favorite shot.
Yeah?
Just for how complicated I think it is. What do you think? What's your favorite?
I mean, the ending is just the paint dump. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Cool.
And so bright too. It's really refreshing.
I like the black and white woods.
Yeah, that's sick.
That was really cool too. I think those two are probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the red and white room with all the gowns and the women is also awesome. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in the movie.
Yeah, it is. I mean, front to back, it's pretty fucking like as far as aesthetics are concerned, it's beautiful.
Yeah. For
even like the room's decor.
Yeah.
just like random bird cages and lamps and candles and shit like that.
Yeah.
They always somehow to be seemed placed perfectly.
Yeah. And when all the dollies stop, it's perfectly framed, perfectly composed shots.
Yeah.
A lot of artistry, I think, went into this porn. You want to head on to reviews a bit?
Hit some Letterboxd. I think this might be an interesting Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what people are going to say about this one.
Yeah, let's check it out.
We're loading up Letterboxd at the moment.
I guess our Zoom call got extended again.
Yeah, I haven't got any notification or anything. Last time it was a big warning bar that came up.
Interesting.
So I have no clue how Zoom works, why they cut us off, and sometimes they don't. I'm happy when they don't. Saves me time.
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all.
There's definitely going to be a lot of like pretentious reviews.
Yeah.
Trying to use the same language that they use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But they don't understand the satire of it.
Yeah, I thought the message of the film, this kind of critique on Japanese society and the kind of female role in this constructed society, it seems like a very straightforward kind of message. But when you put it in this form where you have this kind of broken narrative and these very artistic, very composed, but also very tough to do and intricate shots with all the different layers to it, with these flares and everything, and everything's dollying through, and there's all these characters and set design. I thought it really elevated everything about it.
Yeah,
just the artistry of the direction, composition, and art direction just really elevated a pink film to, I think, the top that it could go.
I agree.
The highest height that a porno could get. I don't think we're going to see a better porno than this.
No, I really doubt it. I think, like you said earlier, if the narrative structure would have been chronological,
yeah,
and it would have been just like a regular porn set, and whatever, this would have been a terrible movie.
I think so too. Yeah, would have just it would have been too right in our face, and we would have got it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a hunt to everything.
Yeah. Okay. Ready for the reviews?
Rock and roll.
I'll start with the dog shit ones. 0.5 star.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll be perfectly honest. I only finished this movie because of the tits. If you like pretentious avant-garde settings, no story, and Japanese women yelling nonsense at each other for no reason, you'll have a great time. Unfollow every single person who has this movie in their top 4.
Top 4? Interesting to have 4.
On Letterboxd, you have a top 4 for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess the guy's just following it for the tits. Well, I guess it is a porno when you break it down to the bare bones of it. It's supposed to be a pink film, so I don't know.
Okay.
Was he beating off to it though?
I think it's, by the sounds of it, yeah.
Interesting.
He's calling this movie pretentious, and he's got the 7th Seal, Full Metal Jacket,
yeah,
the 5th Seal, and like some other like film school movie in his top 4.
Oh, that's fun. That's very fun.
Yeah.
Well, just an asshole then, I guess.
I think so too.
The 7th Seal has no tits in it, so
avant-garde settings, I don't mind. Were they pretentious?
Whoa, what's this thing? Avant-garde setting. The fucking 7th Seal is the most avant-garde, well,
yeah,
not
exactly.
really, but the most fucking surreal setting in the world. Fuck.
I think to dislike it for being pretentious is to miss the point, because it's pretentious on purpose.
Well, they're making the joke that it's porn too.
Right, exactly.
I think, this guy, I just don't think he got the movie.
I don't think so either. He says that there's no story, when there's a very clear once you're an hour into the movie, it becomes clear how.
Well, even when there's that cut and the tonal shift between the set world and the reality, you get that there's fiction happening here. There's something going on. There's the sister character and there's parent characters and the director, and why is all this together? I mean, that's all part of the story.
Yeah, to say there's no story is quite a bold claim.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, even if the assistant walks in the door and they talk to each other and then the movie ends in 5 minutes, that's still a story.
Right, exactly.
Doesn't matter if the guy liked the story or not. As long as it's a sentence with an action, that's a story.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck Butch.
Fuck Butch and his tits. Got any other terrible ones?
Yeah, here's a good one. Half a star.
Okay.
He quotes the film, "Why are films about cocks and cunts bad?" Then he begins by proposing an answer. "They're only bad when they're like Antiporno."
Okay, that's interesting then.
Anti-porno, more like anti-talent. When it isn't pretentious and annoying, and it is that for most of its mercifully short running time, it's just plain boring. Even the occasional sex is flat. It does lay to rest the notion, though, that the Japanese have an aversion to pubic hair on film, well, so long as it's female.
But I mean, this is someone still thinking of it as a straightforward porn movie. Because what did he say? The sex was bland?
Yeah, the sex was flat.
The sex was flat.
Yeah.
That's a funny critique to have for a movie. I don't think I've ever heard that for any other movie where there's a sex scene in it where they go, "Eesh, a little flat. I wanted to."
Oh man!
Fuck. What was how did that review start?
Why are films about cocks and cunts so bad? They're only bad when they're like anti-porno.
Okay. Do you mind reading a bit more?
Anti-porno, more like anti-talent. When it isn't being pretentious and annoying, it's just plain boring.
Yeah, the short running time he mentions.
Yeah, short run time.
But the short run time, that's a reference to the original movies who are only supposed to be an hour long.
How long is this movie? It's not that short.
This is 1:15.
Oh, I guess that is pretty short.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that is supposed to be a direct reference to these original 60s and 70s pink films that were the short movies. So I mean, that's part of the aesthetic. Like the short runtime's built into it. Like you're not going to be mad at a movie that's labeled a short for being 10 minutes long. You go,
right? Yeah.
This is the worst short ever. It's only 10 minutes. It's supposed to be an hour. Like it goes hand in hand with the aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is a good comment either.
No, fuck that guy, dude.
Fuck this guy and his no tits.
There's a few funny reviews back to back that just say shit like mental illness, psychopath, go back to not being crazy, Sono. You were better when you were sane. Just like a chain of reviews calling the director a psychopath.
Okay, well, I mean, the movie is still very well made. I mean, they don't like the narrative, but I mean, everything about the direction is still perfectly fine.
Also, dude, this came out, I'm pretty sure, after Tag.
Okay.
You watch Tag and then you watch this. This movie is like
tame.
Yeah, big time. Especially as far as like narrative structure and everything like that goes.
Yeah.
Tag is literally like I still don't really know what it's about.
Okay. That might be another fun one to do on the podcast then one day.
Yeah, actually. It would be interesting. I'm sure you've seen the opening. Like the opening 10 minutes is like probably the most famous scene of the movie. Okay. It's all these Japanese schoolgirls on a school bus. They're going on a field trip.
Okay.
And they start having a pillow fight on the school bus. And then all of a sudden, the school bus gets cut in half horizontally,
Okay.
and all of the schoolgirls also get cut in half, except for like one girl who like dropped her pen and was picking it up or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then, yeah, it's fucking, yeah, it's weird. It's a very weird movie.
we might have to watch that one then, because that sounds very interesting. What do you think about some good reviews?
Yeah, let's read some good ones. Most of the bad ones are judging it for being pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, most of the good reviews are in Spanish.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who's been promoting this movie in Latin countries, but they love it.
Huh. Well, good for them. They're very sexually open. They enjoyed it.
Okay. An attempt of Sion Sono to counter-address the pink film culture of Japanese. Oh, he thinks it's a counter to the pink films. This film... Yeah, go. Do you have something to chime in?
No, I was just going to say, because from what I researched, this is like directly, like he was hired to make a pink film, and this is part of like a pink film revival. So
yeah, I mean he like Nakatsu is the pink film studio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So this reviewer continues to say that this film was Sono's entry for Nakatsu's Roman porno series, aka exploitation tradition, as a highbrow porno film, serving as a deconstruction as well as a strong commentary on free Japan, censorship, and sexual oppression with the porn industry. Okay, so how is that? Okay. This movie whiplashes its way through themes of patriarchy, voyeurism, and exploitation in a complete abstract manner. Although woman oppression isn't a new subject, the film exhibits sexual progressivism as some kind of torture and a contributing factor to the oppression.
Well, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, pretty well movie.
Yeah, pretty much what we said, except he kind of goes against himself by saying that it's a counter address to the pink film culture.
Mm-hmm. I guess maybe.
I get.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of get what he means.
If it's counter to like the kind of bodily reaction that you're supposed to have to something in the porn genre, but I mean, I don't even know if were you supposed to beat off to pink films, or was it just supposed to be like a fun thing where you go, "Ooh, I saw some boobies on screen."
I do not think you were supposed to beat off during pink films.
Yeah. So I mean, this is still following the same tradition.
Yeah, definitely. I hated this movie so much. No one should ever watch it. And then he gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
I think the guy didn't realize which way this rating system went.
Antiporno has so much more porno than porno. Also, that was the most poetic, beautiful, colorful, and weird wank in my life.
Wait a second.
There you go. So this guy did do it. Good for him.
I guess it works out sometimes. That's a fun review. What do you think? Do we head to our own?
Yeah, I think we're good to go to our own reviews.
What do you think, Mr. Lee?
On my initial viewing of the movie, I had given it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Watching it a second time, I think I would need to increase that quite a bit. I think it's probably a 9 out of 10.
Okay. That jumped up quite a lot in the second viewing.
Yeah. I think I was, I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention enough the first time or something.
There might be some kind of, there might be some kind of shock to the aesthetic and the type of story we're seeing too. That first half hour, I didn't really know what to make of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to give it a safe 8.
Oh, okay.
Not perfect kind of thing, but I love the direction and the aesthetic of the movie. Straight 8.
There you go.
Fair enough, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Any last comments about the movie?
Well, I mean, for a porno, I think people should definitely check it out because it was an awesome flick.
Yeah, I this is one of my favorites that we've done on the show.
Yeah,
I think
very fun. High rated as well. One of the most high rated ones.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, check out Tokyo Vampire Hotel on Amazon.
I'm going to do Tokyo and Tag. Those both seem very
check
interesting
Tag
as well.
I don't know. I'm not sure where we can watch Tag.
Mm-hmm.
But Tokyo Vampire Hotel is a Amazon Prime exclusive. So.
Oh, dude, for this movie, for some reason I couldn't get the subtitles on the Dropbox, so I had to go on some sketchy sites to get it. Yeah. Oh my god, it took me like 2 hours to find this fucking movie. Oh yeah. Well, every time. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I also had to download my own. Mm-hmm. But I do that quite often to download.
Okay. Yeah. I was just looking to stream it, like.
Right.
But sorry, someone's just doing burnouts outside. Every time I would look it up, like there would be 30 different subtitle options, and they'd all come out as like Russian or something.
Yeah.
It was quite fun finding this movie on online, stealing it, as they'd say.
How were the subtitles you ended up finding? Because mine had some lines missing.
Oh no, mine were a bit slow. Like they would come in like halfway through the line or once the line was over. Okay. But they all seemed to be like proper translation.
Okay. Cool.
Overall, really fun movie though. Fun podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a definite must watch in general, but especially if you're into anything Japanese or genre study, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just as like some kind of genre experiment. It's very interesting.
Yeah, email your professor. Tell him to show the kids this instead of porn.
I will. I don't know. That was also a terrible professor. So.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Who knows?
We can skip that email then.
Yeah, it might be fun just to send her more porn just to see what she says.
But if any of you guys want to send us an email, you can do that. monolithfilmclub@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at monolithfilmpod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, leave a review on iTunes, do everything for us. Thank you.
You can send us videos of you and your friends walking around and barking like dogs. We'll play the audio on the show. It's fantastic. We love it all.
We actually will do that. That does sound like fun.
If someone sends that in, 100% we're fucking showing some guy barking.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It'll be the thumbnail.
Yep.
Well, always good talking to you, Lee.
Do we know what we're doing next?
I don't think so, but I think we have a lot of options and a lot of guests that might want to hop on too.
True, yeah. Okay, let's do a guest movie next.
New voices we might be hearing in the near future on the pod.
Yeah. So stay tuned, everybody.
Yes. Until then, keep listening to the podcast. Keep watching fun flicks.
Yeah. All right. See you guys soon.
The way you held me so tender, not like other guys. You were sweet as an angel, and you made me realize, and I do.